everyone to tonight's webinar, Back to School Season and Domestic Worker Recognition Week. This webinar has been organized in partnership with the New York City Coalition for Domestic Work. I want to introduce myself, and I am Zara Baksh, the New York City organizer at Hand in Hand. I want to let you know that we are doing a Facebook Live, and this webinar will be recorded. We will share the recording with you and upload it to Hand in Hand's YouTube channel. If anyone new has joined, please put your name, preferred pronouns, and neighborhood where you are joining from in the chats. Please also share if you are an employer of a nanny, a house cleaner, or a home care worker, or if you're planning to hire support at home. Likewise, if you yourself are a nanny, house cleaner, or home care attendant, please drop that in the chat as well. Tonight, we continue with our 2023 Education and Implementation webinar series, My Home is a Fair Workplace. We have prepared a series of webinars for this year. This is our 6th webinar. Hand in Hand is working to collect all the information you need to know about complying with the laws that apply in the domestic work sector and best practices to meet industry standards. If you haven't signed up to the program, the link will be placed in the chat, and you can check the chat box to access the sign-up form. A little bit about who Hand in Hand is as an organization. Our work is very unique. We are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to support and organize people who employ nannies, house cleaners, and home care attendants. We create resources to help domestic employers comply with the law and meet industry standards. We organize campaigns to change the cultural norms related to the care sector, so we all can enjoy the care we need and care workers can have good jobs. We believe in the care sector where domestic workers are treated with dignity, respect, and honored for their vital work, supporting us as individuals, as families, and as households. In our vision, everyone can access the care and support at the home that they need. We deserve to live in a country where caregiving is valued and respected. Hello, Angelica, and thank you for joining. As we know, hiring a house cleaner, a nanny, or a home care worker is such an important decision. Sometimes those decisions happen while we are in moments in life that are extremely busy and distressed or filled with emotion. At Hand in Hand, we help employers develop working relationships that are fair and positive. Tonight, we also want to celebrate and uplift those that make all other work possible. Domestic workers provide essential care for our little ones, ourselves, and our aging parents, providing them with all the care and dignity they deserve. That work does not go unnoticed. In honor of the upcoming National Domestic Workers Recognition Week, we wanted to take time to uplift those that uplift us, the ones we love, and the ones they care for all year round, especially as we transition into fall and winter. As we know, and as discussed in the title of this webinar, adjusting children out of summer into school year is always a heavy lift. However, nannies, as well as others, make that transition so much simpler. Having a dependable person to provide trusted care for our little ones is so important. Now I'm excited to transition into our panel, and I will give it to the domestic workers, leaders, and organizers to introduce themselves and share a bit about their care story. All righty, Gail, you're the first person on my screen, so I'm gonna pivot to you to introduce yourself, your organization, and how you got involved into this work.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Gail Haywood. My pronouns are she and her. I am a domestic worker leader with the National Domestic Workers Alliance. I'm also, I am a house cleaner. and I am on the Cleaning Council for the National Domestic Workers, representing all of New York. Tonight, I want to say I'm so excited to be in your company. I want to thank you, Zara, so much for having me on your panel. I'm looking forward to this exciting discussion. And I want to thank my fellow the fellow panel that is sitting in with us tonight. I want to thank Hand in Hand for having such an empowering event. How did I get involved in domestic work? Actually, into the year 1999, I migrated to this country. And of course, when you come in and you're not totally legal, this is sometimes where you have to start. So I started as a nanny, and I actually did a little bit of house cleaning. I lived in for a while, and I transitioned after a few years. I transitioned into just housekeeping. I have also done a little bit of elderly care during the pandemic. So that's how I got started here, leaving my country to come to this country and just becoming a domestic worker. Did I answer all the questions, or am I missing one?
I was just gonna say if you could talk about how you became involved in the movement as well.
Okay, so during the pandemic, I heard about this movement, but I guess in all honesty, I hadn't really pay attention to what I was hearing. But during the pandemic, my organization, which is the National Domestic Workers Alliance, they didn't just reach the workers that was members or that were enrolled into their membership. They actually cared for all domestic workers. And they did so by reaching out to us in one of the most traumatic periods in our lives, which is the pandemic season with COVID-19. And I saw on my phone where the National Domestic Workers Alliance had sent me a link to fill out just a few questions to obtain $500. I started filling it out, and then I didn't believe that anybody would just give you $500 like that, even when you're not a member. So I just didn't fill it out. I later met with one of my friends, and she asked me if I got a link, if I saw they were giving money. And actually, that's how I became a member. So I found that link, and I filled it out, and then I saw your successful way to receive a card in the mail in 2 weeks. And as I sat with the organization, there's something about just the care that they gave me when I was needed. I got involved right there during the pandemic. And in the height of my involvement, what I received from the National Domestic Workers Alliance, it wasn't just money, but we received training, we received classes, we received courses to keep us from mental illness, and so many things that was going on during that period. I mean, not working and just reaching out to us with every source of information that they could have given. And actually, I said any organization that will invest in me that much, that would be the organization that I would want to give back to. So I started doing any and everything they asked me to do. I just said yes, 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 yes. And here I am today, a yes National Domestic Workers Alliance. And we did organizer. And I'm very, very proud of the work that we have been doing and that we have allowed to do. And I'm very proud of Hand in Hand, who is, like empowering employers and teaching them how they should actually treat employees. So I'm so proud of your organization, Sarah. And I look forward to sitting in with this panel tonight. And I'm fired up and ready to go.
Thank you so much, Kieran. That was wonderful. I'm so glad to have you tonight. And what I noticed as well is that you mentioned the care that NDWA gave you. And I think that is the emphasis of all the work that we do. That is a thread I wanted to hold on to as we pivot to Rosemary Martinez to introduce herself, her org, as well as her work background and how she got into the movement.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. My name is Rosemary Martinez. Thank you so much for the invitation, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm the domestic worker organizer with Car Gardens Association. So I have been a domestic worker since I came to the USA. As a nanny and cleaner, one of the reasons that I joined to the movement at first was because of my mother, because she was, not being appreciated for all the work she had done. But it is worth mentioning that my mom has been a domestic worker for the last 34 years here in the US. My grandma was also one, so I became involved in the organization when I learned that we as an immigrant, we have rights. So we are start learning, and I become one of the training for the nanny trainings that we have. And now I am the domestic worker organizer.
And how long have you been in the movement for?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. I have been involved in about 4-5 years now. So I met with, oh my goodness, amazing people. And I'm so glad that now I can be part of them.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, Gail and Rosemary, for sharing your answers. And lastly, Kieran, could you please introduce yourself, your org, as well as your work background and how you got into this movement, please?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Kieran Clarke, and my pronouns are she and her. And I have worked in the domestic worker. I've been a domestic worker for about 22 years. So for about 10 years, I worked as a nanny. And also I did cleaning. When we first started off, there were not clearly defined roles in some of the jobs. So I was working, as a nanny and also cleaned on that same job. And then for another 12 years, I've been a direct care worker, home care worker. So part of the time I worked as a home health aide and also direct care in private homes as well. So with people who have dementia. Yes.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves, and thank you for sharing your care stories and backgrounds. We love to get our folks familiar with our speakers, and hopefully they'll be able to see some more of you all in the future. As of now, I'm going to switch to some very highly anticipated questions. So for starters, can you compare instances in which you did not have a contract, whether it was a work agreement, a nanny agreement, a house cleaner agreement, and how that made the work different for you or more challenging? And this is open to everyone that wants to have a grab at it.
I think I'll go first. Well, not having an actual contract wasn't a very good thing, Sometimes you started off and they told you what your job responsibilities were, but it became a little challenging because every time they would want to add things to the list, So I find that sometimes every day or every week I was having a conversation about tweaking, my responsibilities, so there was not that client defined list of responsibilities, and the responsibilities were just so long that when you tried doing it, it was just too much. So what I would always do is to do what I felt was most important. I feel that the child was the top priority. And it was easy for me because it's easy for me to talk to the employers about, what were the top priorities and what we could leave behind. It was very hard at first, but you have to stand your ground because you only have a certain amount of time and you cannot do everything. Safety comes first, your safety and the children's safety, so sometimes the employer may not be concerned about your safety, but you just have to get that conversation with the employers about, your baby is top priority and the safety of your child is most important. So that was where I used that opportunity to really get them to tone down a little and to be able to be open to having that conversation. But it was really challenging, really, really challenging.
Thank you, Kieran. Rosemary, I wanted to pivot to you because I know you have a nannying background, and I wanted to ask if you can compare instances in which you did or did not have a school year plan for what work looked like, and how did childcare change as you all transitioned from summer to fall?
Yes, Sarah, yeah. Wow. So it's a very different, and we have many circumstances, could change. Right now it's like we are facing many challenges in these conversations. So when I was working as a nanny, how I can say it was like a big difference when we are talking, or when I was talking with my employers about these time of the year that they need to change that all the activities to go to the school year. So always at the end of the August, it was the conversation that, okay, so now my kid it's growing and I don't need you anymore. And it's, sometimes it's this conversation. Yeah.
Thank you, Rosemary. I think a lot of the time, employers don't weigh in that nannies, even through the school year, it's still a full-time job because you're on call, because if something happens and the kid needs to be picked up from school, you're still reliable and you're still accountable to taking care of the child. So I think that can be a bit of a sticky area when negotiating because they don't see that fuller picture there. I wanted to ask, and I think I would like everyone to weigh into this question from all of your backgrounds, because I feel as though it's very prevalent. So from the nanny and the home care worker and any house cleaning perspective, if you have, is with the rise of COVID cases spiking, what are some COVID preparation plans that need to be in place to ensure your safety, the family safety, the person you're caring for safety, all of those things? And actually, I'm going to start with Gail because you've been very quiet thus far.
Hi. Actually, with the COVID in place, some of the safeties that my employer and myself can take on my job is number one. Even though when the rise of COVID had decreased, I still wear my mask. Number one being that I'm asthmatic, and I understood that COVID, the amount of cases had drastically declined, but I understand that the virus was still there. So I still wear my mask because I'm very strong asthmatic and I never got it and I don't want to get it. So I still do stuff like spray up, wash, and all the stuff that when the COVID was high. Things that my employer can do and myself is like wash your hands often. If I go to my employer, if face-to-face contact, I put my mask up because I don't know, where they have been. So those are some of the precautions that I would still take on my job. I would try, actually with my job, it's a little different because most of where I clean, usually my employers are not home or they're in a room doing work. in their office. So I actually doesn't really have, I just have limited contact with employers just because I'm a house cleaner. Most of the time, no one is there or they're just in their office doing work, but I still do take my precautions. And I would continue to take it. And when the COVID spike, if it does spike up, I would have that conversation also with my employer.
Thank you, Gail. Having a conversation with your employer is super important. It's so easy just to let them know what your concerns are. And it's better to speak up than to let things pass you by. So I want to point this question at the other people on our panel. So Rosemary, Kieran, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if we have this conversation with our employers, that would be so great, because we are, we already know all the
Protocol.
situation or issues in the past with the pandemic. So now it's like we have this background, so we can prepare us like each other, employers, employees. So to have like yeah, to have a plan what's going on if this happening again, or if my family gets sick or my kid got sick. So yeah, a conversation and establish like an agreement that would be so helpful.
Yes.
Well, for me, fortunately, I'm working with one client. Before COVID, I was in and out of different homes because I also worked as a doula. So I'd be going through doula homes, HHA homes, different clients. But since COVID, I've only been in one. I decided to stay with just one client. So I don't get to see the employers actually. However, since things have, gotten improved, sometimes they would visit for a short while, but whenever they did, they always masked. So that was great. My client is nonverbal and she's also bedridden, so she's not able to leave her room and she does not wear a mask. So I just make sure what I do is to always come in with a mask, but I also close her room. And since I don't give as much contact like I would do pre-COVID, what I do is to leave music on and, that things to keep her, entertained while I'm out of her space. The only person that I do come into contact with is the coworker when we're either coming in or out because we share that space. So that would be my main concern, but we still follow the same protocols like we did before, at the start of COVID. So with the, just continuing with the washing hands, when I come in, I just do the cleaning. Even if she just left and she cleaned, I still have to go through that protocol of doing those things over for myself. So that's what I do to keep myself safe and to keep the client safe as well.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I think one thing that I've learned recently amidst the beginning of the school year is how important it is to have a COVID plan, because for many parents, it's a matter of when your kid gets COVID, not if, as well as what are you going to do when your child care provider or your nanny or your home care attendant or your house cleaner or someone in their family gets COVID or they do. And we always say that you need to pay them for the days that they would have worked because they're sick, not because of any other reason. Obviously, it's paid safe and sick leave, so people should get their full pay if they have COVID. And also, if you have COVID and they cannot work, you need to be paying them as well. So those are our recommendations. Anyone that has a nanny background can weigh in on this question, but if there is one thing that you think parents should be doing to be better employers for you throughout the school year, or one thing you wish they had done while you were nannying through the school year, what would you suggest?
Well, for me, there are so many coming to think about it, parents always plan everything and they always know things sometimes way in advance. So what would be very, very good to know is, I'm not saying that they should tell you all their business, but this is a business transaction, whether we like it or not. And they should, inform their workers of changes that are going to happen. Sometimes, as a nanny, that there are changes in your hours and they don't tell you about it. And sometimes they say, hey, now for now, or the next day, because I had that experience where my hours went from, full-time to part-time, or part-time to no time for an entire 2 months. And you know nothing about it, and there's no intention of paying you for that time. So I think if you say that you value someone, you should be able to compensate them for a time. And especially as you're expecting them to be available to you, you should pay them for that time, because nannies have families as well. For a work agreement to work, it have to benefit both parties, And how is it that you're giving 100% to an individual and you're presenting and you're building their family when yours is failing at home? How can you feel alive and secure within yourself when you're giving your all? There's nothing wrong. You give love, but at the same time, you're expecting, if not love, you are expecting respect. So that is one thing that I'm saying. And if you want your children to be happy, for me, it's a simple thing. The same needs that you have, the person who works for you have them as well. So I'm saying sometimes it's a hard thing for me to even process that we're even going through those issues that we're going through as domestic workers. I know our history has not been good, but the thing about it is that we have a brain that works, and we know everything, it's just do we have a heart? That's my part.
Yes, and just to echo a little bit of what Kieran is saying, sometimes the surprise also comes in forms as when they are going away. They tell you like the same day, the day before, or sometimes the kids will be the one to say, we are going to Italy or Rome or wherever they're going. And I think that is really not nice, because sometimes you can make a plan with your family, or sometimes you can have a doctor appointment. There's so many things that nannies, domestic workers, and housekeepers do not do. For example, like a lot of nannies I know do not have doctor appointments because they're afraid to take the time off. They're afraid they don't get paid for the time off. And sometimes you have to see your doctor a few times for the year. So, I mean, if your employer, in which they plan their trips long ahead, if they would say to you, okay, this is in May, and they say, okay, we're going to be away for the summer, then you can push all your appointments around that time, knowing that, okay, I don't have to worry, my employer's not going to be here for 2 weeks, so I have this time off. But they usually sometimes tell you it at the last second. And I think that could also be enhanced.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally agree with Kieran and Gail, and I'm so glad that you both are here. Oh my God, your experiences is like so rich for me, because I'm so agree that they had to be able to respect the contract that has been made, whether verbal or writing. So being aware of the right of workers to respect it, and also recognize them that both need each other. That is something that employers can do better.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all. I think a common thread that I realized you all were touching upon is that they have the plans and they've prepared the plans, so they need to let you in on all the plans, which is pretty much the theme of this webinar, is that you all as domestic workers, nannies, home care attendants, home care workers, and house cleaners deserve to be in on all that's happening. Employers owe it to you all to be transparent and communicate well. How else are you supposed to operate, do your job, and live your life if you're not clued into what's going on? So thank you all for your impactful and very weighted responses on the panel. This was a really rich discussion and I'm so grateful. I wanted to open the floor if you all wanted to share any final thoughts or comments or last things you wanted to share.
Well, I'm so happy that domestic work, but first to begin, I want to say to hand in hand again for working along and bringing employers to recognize that domestic work is real work and it's the work that makes all of the work possible. And also that domestic workers need to be treated as other workers. For example, just restoring our dignity, our worth to this job. I mean, it's really a rich feeling for me because this job can be sometimes looked down as not a regular job. And I think that that's why we are often treated in that manner, spur of the moment. I can do this at the spur of the moment, you know. For example, one of my employer just came back from Italy last week, and they went for 3 weeks, and they did not leave my salary, but they left the house for me to clean. So when I got to the house, and I usually I don't see anybody because sometimes the one of the couple work from home. Part of the day I text a message and I said, you know, are you here? You know, I'm not seeing you. I'm not seeing my money. And then my employer texted and said they are away for 3 weeks and they will be back on the 11th. That was like the 20th. And I texted a message and I said, you know, I would really appreciate transparency because you left work for me to do and you didn't even leave my income, right? And I was dependent on this income to survive. And I said, I just wanted to know that domestic work is real work. And I don't appreciate that he would go away for 3 weeks and not even think about, you know, leaving money for me to leaving my pay while you expect me to come in for those 3 weeks to clean up. So I didn't receive a text the same time, but I did afterwards. And they said, oh, Gail, I'm so sorry. We can sell you or we can cash app you. Just let me know. And, you know, I sort of think to myself as to the disrespect of this job. I mean, because if you don't say nothing, it will be just walked over. I mean, sometimes the employer try to do things to us, and if we don't use our power, which is our voice, they will continue to do it. I feel disrespected because as a doctor, if you are taking a vacation or whatever you're taking, the government is still paying you, right? You're still able to pay your mortgage. So I had to explain to my employer, this is how I live, this is my livelihood, and this is how I pay my bills, and this is how I get things done. And today, when I finally went to work, he apologized to me, you know, for doing so, and he had my money right there on the spot to pay me for those weeks. So I'm saying, if we don't use our power, sometimes we would be walked or trampled on, you know. So we have to use our voices, because I think that sometimes the employer doesn't get it, or they get it and they don't really care. So that's what I wanted to weigh in on. The importance of using your power.
Thank you, Gail. And yes, workers should be empowered. Like, they should be empowered to speak on their concerns and address when their employer has done something that is just totally incorrect. Anyone else would like to weigh in?
Well, for me, I know that we've been fighting for an increase in the minimum wage, but I'm sure that it would be good to collaborate, because I know this is hand in hand. The thing about it is that employers know that you cannot do anything with $15. You know, it really isn't a fair wage. I think if you need, you know, a person where it's a transactional experience, I think if you could retain a person to stay and be committed, because we do love what we do, but sometimes as domestic workers, we are forced to get something else if somebody offers us a better figure, you know? But I'm saying if you want to retain a person, you pay them a livable wage. You pay for their vacation. Presently, at the rate that we're going, a vacation is not truly a vacation. So when an employer asks me, how was your vacation? I've never been able to say it was great. I would say, you mean my time off, you know? Because you can't, that salary just takes care of the minimum. It cannot take you on a vacation, a true vacation. You're just still paying bills and you're still in arrears, you know? So it's never truly a vacation for me. So yes, we get cards. Sometimes we get thank you cards. We get, you know, all of these are great. We love those things. But what we also would appreciate is a livable wage, time off. If we're saying, hey, you know, I'd like to get this day off, you know, it's not a negotiation about, do you really need it off? You know, let's see what we could do. There are so many domestic workers here. We could get back up, you know, so all of those things need to be addressed that we could do. You know, we should have the conversation going, because it's not one person to a job, but there are so many persons. A person will fall for something because they're desperate. They know they could get something for less. So these are all issues that we need to definitely address, not just a minimum wage or, you know, like workers, for nannies especially. I know cleaners have it. Gail already said so. But for nannies, sometimes they get cut off. Don't come into work. So-and-so has a play date. Don't come in tomorrow, and then you don't get paid. That should never happen. You should get paid for it, because the nanny was available. She was available to work. You don't take away because she did not effectively work, but she's still there if you need her. So she should still be compensated for that time, you know, guaranteed hours, all of those things. We shouldn't have to fight for those things.
True.
You know, if they don't have money and they're struggling for cash, we could understand that, but that's not the case in most issues, in most instances, you know. And that, you know, I'm looking forward to a time when domestic workers could go to work and don't have to worry about things at home. You know, you're making their lives easier, you're making it better. But at the same time, how good can you feel when you cannot handle anything at home for your family or for your life? So these are the issues that a lot of domestic workers face. And these are the issues that all of us combined in collaboration are trying to change. So this is my contribution.
Thank you, Kieran.
Mhm.
I especially like when you said, when are domestic workers going to be able to go to work and not worry about what's going on at home?
Mhm.
That really just stuck with me. Wow, that was very impactful. Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kieran. And yeah, totally agree. Thank you, Hanahan, for bringing workers and employers together, where we can create a, gap for change the industry, and being able to work together can resolve many situations of labor injustice that, like Kieran said before. So, and yeah, just I want to say thank you, and I hope we keep working together, employers and employees. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosemary. All right, I'm going to switch from the panel just for some closing thoughts. And I once again want to thank all of our panelists, Gail, Kieran, and Rosemary, for joining us on this late Thursday evening. Thank you all for carving out the time for us. And I'm so grateful for everything you all said. You are so bright and informative, and it was just so useful hearing it from you all. So for some last remarks, you can help hand in hand by becoming a helping hand. If you liked what you heard or want to help hand in hand, you can donate or become a member, so we can continue offering trainings, webinars, and workshops, much like this one here, all about fair employment, to educate lawmakers about home care investment, like we did the past few years by delivering hundreds of care stories to legislators and ultimately to win. There is a link in the chat to make a membership contribution. We want to be able to continue creating these kinds of webinars and workshops with the resources we have. So if you all are interested, please become a member. I also dropped a Google form in the chat so you can tell us what you thought about this webinar, as well as some constructive criticism, or if any questions you had were not answered, I will follow up on those. Once again, National Domestic Worker Recognition Week is the following week. So show up for the domestic worker in your life. You heard from our lovely panel today, the things and ways you can uplift them and celebrate them and appreciate them. Appreciation is more than a card and a thank you. It is showing up as a good employer every single day. These are lastly our socials. So I'll give it a second for you all to look at them. You can friend us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or if you have any questions, there is the email right there, nycsupport@domesticemployers.org. All right, everyone. Once again, I want to thank you all for attending. I want to thank our lovely panel for weighing in with their opinions and insights. They offered so much fruitful discussion. I'm ever grateful. And I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday evening.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kieran.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Rosemary. Bye.
Bye, Rosemary. Bye, Kieran.
Bye. Bye, Zara,
Bye.
Rosemary, Gail. Bye.
Everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Mm.